You're paying your AI to do a worse job. Every rule you stack into that 2,000 word prompt burns more tokens and gets you weaker output. Anthropic have just proved it. They cut 80% of Claude Code's own instructions and it got even better. Two business owners asked the same AI for the same client email. One pastes a wall full of rules, the other types 4 sentences. The 4 sentences win and it's not even close. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly what to cut, what to keep, and where the rest should live. So you get faster answers, a smaller bill, an output that finally sounds like you, even if you're not technical at all. I've also built 4 lean template files that do all of this for you, and I'll show you where you can get those if you stick to the end of the video. And if you don't know who I am, my name is Jimmy Barkway. I am head of AI transformation for one of the biggest payments companies in the UK. So if you haven't already, grab yourself a fresh cup of tea and let's dive straight in. And before you think of this as a coding thing, it's not. The same problem is sitting in your sales emails, in your reports, and every prompt that you reuse through ChatGPT or Claude. More rules feel safe. If you've ever hired someone, you know the urge. You want to tell them exactly how to do the job so nothing goes wrong. And with AI, that urge turns into a prompt full of rules like, never do this, always do that, follow this exactly. And use these 5 great examples as your guide. Instructions are fine. The trouble starts when they fight each other, if they repeat themselves or try to control choices that the model can already judge from the task in front of it. Anthropic found this inside Claude Code itself. They cut the prompts from roughly 800 tokens of rules down to 164, and their coding scores didn't move. This is the system prompts that powers Claude Code. So every time you type a prompt, this system prompt is working in the background and applying to every prompt in essence. The older prompts included lines like default to writing no comments and never write multi-line comment blocks. Really specific, super rigid, fine for one type of job, but wrong the moment the user needs proper documentation or works in a code base that already uses detailed comments. So the model has to stop and think, which rule is the winner here? It reads the user's task, reads the system rules, reads other project instructions, and then tries to untangle all of that before doing any actual work. Anthropic ended up replacing a dozen of those rules with one sentence. One. And I'll read that to you in a second. You call in a skilled contractor to fix a kitchen and then hand them a 40-page manual before they've even seen the house. The manual tells them which screws to use, how long every note should be, and what color the labels need to be. Meanwhile, the actual problem is a leaking pipe behind the wall. They'll spend time checking the manual. They may follow it perfectly, but you don't hire them to obey paperwork. You hire them to see what the problem is and fix it. Here's the sentence I promised you, and it's worth putting on screen word for word. The newer Claude Code prompt replaces the whole pile of comment rules with one line. Write code that reads like the surrounding code. That gives the model a target, then lets it inspect the work around it and use judgment. One line covers cases that a dozen hard rules could not. Same deal in your business prompts. You might tell AI, use this tone or follow this structure. Don't use these 6 or 7 words. Write exactly 4 paragraphs, put this line first, make it friendly but not too friendly. Then you wonder why the email feels stiff or why it copied one of your examples instead of answering the client properly. You're giving it a narrow lane before it's ever even been on the road. And this is why templates beat giant manuals. The 4 files I mentioned, Claude.md, Voice.md, Design.md and Soul.md are sitting in my community, first link below. They're intentionally short, and each one gives the model a clear job rather than trying to run its whole brain from one file. You still prompt, you just stop stuffing obvious rules into every request. Keep the instructions that are truly yours and let a capable model handle the choices it can already see from the context. It's the same contractor. Second visit, once they know the house, you can stop handing them the manual. You give them the brief, the boundaries, and the stuff only you know. Then you let them work. So where do the rules you cut actually go? You don't delete them, you move them. Anthropic has a name for it: progressive disclosure. It's a bit of a techie name, but it's simple. Don't dump every instruction into the AI's lap before it knows what job it's doing. Give it a short index and then let it pull in the detail it needs when that detail actually applies. Your current big prompt is a 200-page binder. Someone asks, can you write this client update? And you hand them the whole thing with brand rules, old campaign notes, report layouts, product FAQs, and every edge case that you could think of. They can find the right page eventually, but they have to carry the entire binder just to answer one question. A filing cabinet works better. The front label tells them what lives where. So for a client email, they open the voice drawer. For a monthly report, they open the report format drawer. For a landing page, they open the design drawer. The rest stays shut. Nice and easy. Anthropic moved in this direction with Claude Code by taking work like code review and verification out of the main instruction set. And then they put each one into its own skill. A skill is just a small guide for one job. When Claude needs to review code, it can load the review guide. When it needs to check whether a task works, it can load the verification guide. That means those instructions aren't sitting in every request, even when the job has nothing to do with them. The AI isn't reading a code review checklist while you're asking it to rename a button. It sounds obvious when you say it out loud, but most prompt setups do the exact same thing with business work. So if you're using AI for repeat tasks, your main prompt or system file should usually stay very short, maybe 10 to 15 lines. It should explain who you are, what the AI helps with, the few rules that always apply, and where it can find more detail. Something like, this workspace creates client-facing work for this business. It keeps claims accurate, ask before inventing facts. For writing style, read my voice.md file. And for visual or page rules, you can read my design.md file. For company beliefs and boundaries, read soul.md. It doesn't need to contain the whole company handbook. And then voice.md can hold the way you actually sound when you're writing. Not 50 vague rules like be engaging or make it high quality. Just the things that are distinct to you. Your favorite words, words you don't use, sample writing if needed, how blunt or warm you want to sound. What I did was I took all of my YouTube content and I asked Claude to transcribe my videos and then use those transcriptions to figure out how I like to talk and then burn that into my voice.md file. Design.md can handle how all of your documents, PDFs, or web pages should look and flow. So you can have consistent branding across all of your assets. An easy way to do this is to just take your website or some of your written content and ask Claude to make a design.md based off of this. Your soul.md can hold your principles. So it'd be who you sell to, what you won't claim, and how you make decisions when there isn't a neat rule. And then Claude.md, that's more like the front door. It tells the model what this place is and where to look next. And some of that detail can stay unloaded until the model needs it. Anthropic calls it deferred loading. The AI fetches the full instructions at the moment they're useful and ignores them the rest of the time. Say you ask for a weekly sales report. It may need the report format and company voice, but it doesn't need your web page design rules. If you ask it to write a customer reply, it may need voice.md and a product reference, but not the reporting file. The model gets less clutter, you spend less on tokens, and the reply starts from the job in front of it. You don't need some huge agentic workflow to start doing this either. Take the one giant prompt you use for weekly reports or client communications and create a tiny index at the top. And move the rest into 2 or 3 reference files based on when you'd actually need them. Leave links or clear file names so that AI can fetch the right one. And if you only do that one thing today, you've honestly got 80% of the value of this video. That's the whole idea. But this setup can slowly turn back into a mess if you never check it. One bad output leads to one new rule. and then another. And before long, your tidy filing cabinet has somehow become that binder again. There's a one-question test that stops it coming up. Here's where most people blow it, and why your prompt will be right back at 2,000 words within a month. Prompts don't usually become huge because someone sat down and decided to write a huge prompt. They grow through little panic patches. The AI writes one reply that you don't like, so you add a rule. It misses a formatting choice once, so you add 2 examples. The client complains about one word, and suddenly that word lives on every prompt forever. 6 months later, nobody knows why half the file exists. It just feels risky to remove it. Anthropic built a command for exactly this problem. It's called /doctor. You've already got it installed, and I run it on my own setup right now so that you can see what it catches. It checks your Claude code instructions and skills for bloat, like a health check for everything wrapped around the model. Its whole job is making you look at the instructions you've collected and decide which ones still earn their place. If you're not building in Claude code, don't worry about the command itself. Copy the habit. Once a month, open the prompts, the system file, or whatever notes you feed into your AI setup, and ask each line one question. Does the model need this, or am I just scared to remove it? That question catches loads of dead weight. You'll find rules that describe things the model already knows from the task. The same instruction copied into 3 different files. A rule that fixed one odd reply 8 weeks ago and hasn't mattered since. Delete it, test the next few jobs, and only put it back if the problem returns. The trap people fall into is not being clear. Being specific means you tell the AI something that only you know, like your refund policy, the exact columns in your internal report, or a phrase that your company can never use. That belongs in context. But just in case examples are different. You give it 5 sample emails, 3 sample reports, and a chunk of copy from a post you liked, hoping it will somehow absorb your taste. Modern models can latch onto those examples too hard. Instead of seeing them as a guide, they start copying their shape, their rhythm, even their blind spots. You ask for a fresh answer and it gives you a remix. Use one direct sentence about the result that you want first, like, write this as a short, calm client update that states the delay, gives the next date, and doesn't blame anyone. That leaves room for the model to solve the job. If it truly needs an example because the format is unusual, use one strong example and say what part of it matters. Now do this with your own setup today. First, cut any rule that describes a mistake you haven't seen in the last 10 uses. Keep a copy in a notes file if that makes you less twitchy. But take it out of the live prompt and see what changes. Second, find every place that you've stacked examples, then replace most of them with one plain sentence that describes the outcome that you want. Don't tell the model every possible route to the answer. Tell it where the answer needs to land. Third, if any prompt file runs past 20 lines, split it, break it down. Keep a short index file, then move task-specific details into a separate reference file with a clear name. A client email task shouldn't carry your report rules, and a report shouldn't carry every design note you've ever written. The Claude, design, voice, and soul.md file templates in my community already use this structure. They're lean on purpose, so you're not starting from a blank page and slowly rebuilding the same giant prompt you just deleted. The first link down below has all 4 of those files if you want a setup that's ready to go. Once that's in place, the difference is practical. Each of these 4 templates, as soon as you hand them to Claude, it's going to run you through an onboarding and it's going to personalize this to yourself and your business. And you'll notice that your requests start to carry fewer tokens. Every reply comes back a little bit faster, and then the AI spends more of its attention on the work that you actually asked for, instead of trying to obey a huge pile of old instructions that no longer belong there. Before you start trimming things down, what's the one rule in your prompts that you're scared to delete? Put it in the comments, and I'll tell you if it's earning its place. Right now, the businesses getting the best work out of AI are the ones writing the least. They keep the parts only they can provide, and they let the model do the job in front of it. That's the whole shift. You stop paying extra for worse output. So this week, Take your longest prompt and cut it in half. Save the old version, run both on the same task, and compare the output properly. Most people find the shorter version doesn't get worse. It gets cleaner. And the first time it comes back sounding more like you'll wonder why you were writing essays to begin with. If you want to see this lean setup built live with the actual Claude design, voice, and soul files wired together, check out the first link down below, and I'll see you in the community.